Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. What a beautiful crowd. Testament of honoring the amazing Celia Alvarez Munoz. Celia has spent a lot of time in San Antonio, on and off, doing public art, getting to know the artistic community. And in 2002, she did this amazing project called Semejantes Personajes, significant personalities. Celia was born in El Paso, Texas. She grew up in the borderland. Her work addresses those issues of being bicultural, being bilingual. She's a conceptual Latina artist. She does photography, she does multimedia, and she also does writing. And that's why we have that beautiful poem over there that is in English and Spanish. You can read it. It's a beautiful poem. We're just very honored to have Celia, and to give her this, to give her a solo show. We have been working with Celia for the last, I don't know, 1 year, 2 years, about a year. But this is the first time that we're having a solo show for her and her work. So this exhibit was there was a project back in 2002, and it was exhibited in the Blue Star Art Contemporary Art Museum here in town. And it's really like a capsule in time of who's who of Latino artists, Latina artists. And there are 4 generations of San Antonio own visual creators. Those are the subject of the portraits. In the artist's own words, quote, "This collection of 41 portraits of San Antonio Latino visual artists is yet another experiment, a courtship between old and new technologies and old and new friends." For Alvarez Munoz, the photography process and the distinctive medium of choice were significant. Alvarez Munoz explains, "For Semejantes Personajes, I reached back to the Olga's camera, unique, flexible, and unpredictable format as the perfect tool, keen to an imperfected, edited, grainy movie film strip. It allowed to seize a moment and was still open for inspection once it started a digital dialogue." We can keep talking about Celia, but I wanted just to mention 2 important, very important things. Last year, she was awarded. She was one of 15 artists, Latino artists, that were awarded the Latinx Artist Fellowship, and that's a groundbreaking initiative that is founded by the Ford Foundation and the Mellon Foundation. Is an unrestricted $50,000 grant to use in whatever you want to use it for. So she was, there was a Latino artist in the whole country, and she was one of the 15 recognized artists. We're also very excited for Celia because the Museum of Contemporary Art in San Diego is organizing a retrospective of her compelling work next year. So it's very exciting time for Celia and recognition of her work that has been, she has been doing it for several decades. So Celia, would you like to talk a little bit about the project, your own work?
Thank you first. Thank you, Patricia. We finally converged and met and are doing a project together. And thank you, everybody, for coming and attending today. For this project, I can repeat what Patricia said, but in art, I think an artist either conforms or deforms. And I like to deform, too. I think a lot of us do. The project came about from different angles. It's hardly ever one path. I had done a public art in Germany with a group of German friends, and it was a sister city project for Fort Worth. Bakunishofen in Germany, which means the bath, the king's bath, has been corresponding with Arlington, Texas, which is my home now, since World War II. It started with a pen pal, a little girl, all right, that wrote to the city and started the whole ball rolling, and care packages went to Germany, after World War II, as you know, the big historical waves, and I respond to that a lot, So I was one of 4 artists. We met 4 artists over there, and the Sister City group had experimented, had done a project with a Holga camera. And a Holga is kind of a rinky-dink, plastic camera, film camera, and you advance the film at your leisure. If you don't want to advance it, you don't. It's never way. So it allows for a lot of experimentation, which I like, especially going into a new process. And so it started there. We took pictures. We had an exhibition. And then Benito Huerta, who is a professor at UT Arlington and a terrific curator, was organizing a survey show of my work that included the photo text-based works, because I paint too, and the writing. So it was only that. He didn't include the painting. So we were organizing the travel venues, and Blue Star was mentioned. Carla Stilwell was working here, and she was open, what can we do? And I said, well, I'd like to do something that is about San Antonio. We're bringing in my work, and it's great, you bring a work to a city, and yeah, it's introduced, but to give statement, to have an opportunity to give statement about the place, I think it's a great opportunity. She was open to it. And so we got the funding, and I bought the Holga and lots of films, and she said, what do you want to do? So I had, like Patricia said, I had already become acquainted, pretty well acquainted with the arts community here. And San Antonio had been real good to me, 3 public art projects here, and lots of common ground, a lot of camaraderie. So I wanted to see if I could capture that. So I brought the camera, made a list. I had 21 artists when I started, and when I finished, it was 41, okay? Young artists, some that hadn't maybe surfaced too much, had been in the hiding or had been working. So we wanted to bring a good sampling. I wanted to bring a good sampling. Plus, it was the best excuse to hang out, with my peers, And I think one of all the ones that I asked, only one wasn't really available. So what I did is just, came into town and had a very good time. Some of these artists I had known, and I had known about them, but hadn't met. And one example was Mel Casas.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah, Mel Casas, who was, I think, maybe the first one that has passed away from this group. Okay, and Mel's name echoed in my undergrad halls. All right, there was a lot of influence that Mel had left at Texas Western College, which is now UTEP. When I went, it was Texas Western College. It hadn't been a university. So I would hear Mel this and Mel that, and So I wanted to know who this Mel was. And I met him through another artist that might be coming, John Hernandez, who really liked his work of the 60s when his work was extremely political, you know. To quote Mel, all art is political, you know, and so I asked him. He didn't know me. He kind of stood back, and then when I told him I had heard his name, you know, and it was kind of like a holy, like a Holy Spirit there at Texas Western. Then he agreed, and the rest was just very simple. All I did was make an appointment. I was the roving photographer, and it's terrific because it frees you up. It frees you up. That movement. I'm very physical. There's a real aspect to my physicality, and I think it is because I traverse so much space near the border, going across the border, and just busing, biking around my city tremendously. My dad worked for the street department. That was another connection to the city maps. So maps have figured in the work a lot. I like to know where I am, what the city looks like, what the space looks like, why it looks like it does, and proceed, you know, one of the points of departure. So for this one, I said, I had done a portrait show in Roswell, New Mexico, which was the Hispanic community. It was like the leading constituency of Roswell. But I wanted all of it to be Roswell, so I appointed a photographer there in Roswell and situated him in the studio where I was, told him where to stand, where I wanted the subjects. I did everything except click, you know, the shutter. So those portraits were formal, sitting down, you know, the special lighting. They brought something with them that endeared them to their life or their space or Roswell. And then I played with the aspect of aliens, you know, that Roswell is famous for. So that fell into it. But I'm not too much of a formalist in trying to depict somebody. I like that physical aspect to be evident too. And with the Holga, I mean, you have the liberty of going at your own speed to create your own time too. So it was a lot of fun. It was a learning curve for me. And River City Silver, still in existence, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I said, okay, so these are very basic, old school photographs, but let's jump into the present and engage the digital age. And so I talked to them and they said, yeah, we can collaborate. I said, okay, I would like to edit as we go along, select the pieces of film that I respond to, and then make them into film strips, you know. And why film strips? Because it's movie pictures, you know, and that magic I think we will always be enamored with. So they look like working sections. And because I was shooting artists and artists' work, and I don't think artists like too much to sit too still, you know, that was something that I wanted to capture. So yeah, a lot of them hemmed it up, really hemmed it up, you know, like dressing up and or just having a nice conversation with them, having martinis. I had a great time with Mel. We caught up all these years. And I was very fortunate to catch, there's 6 representatives here that have already passed away. And I think you will see them. There's Mel, there's Adan, yes, there's Chuck Ramirez, and
Alex Leon is on the others.
Alex Leon is, I think, in here.
Yes.
Yeah. Mijangos, Omar Mijangos. Yeah, as well. So I got to see their studios, which is really a treat. You know, sometimes artists want you in their space, sometimes they don't. So, I mean, being that I was the roving photographer, they did allow me to, yeah. A lot of people helped by giving me the names of artists that I had not known, and I went to visit the work, and then it was up to me to make the final decision whether, you know, the work was going to be responsive to the area, the era as well. So you might see familiar faces here, or 2002. It's been 20 years since that, you know. But I think if the work is good, it's timeless. You know, it still fits, I think, the agenda of today. We're still trying to decide what it is we want to do with the digital media. You know, and there's some real handsome work coming out. I went to Blue Star yesterday, because, you know, that's the beauty of traveling too. It's not anchoring, but exposing yourself to what's around. So, yeah. The first work at Blue Star is one to be seen. Yeah, there's a lot of experimentation and some very fun statements. So yeah, going back to that aspect of conforming or deforming, you know, I think that all of the subjects here are in the act. You know, in the act of creation. Took liberty too to copy Kodak and the signage, so you will find their name as if they had been on the film strip, my name, and then the date on it. So there's, you know, there's information. And why are they of different sizes? Well, why not? You know, some people give you more time, some people give, you know, are maybe more conformed. Some people say it quick, other people don't, you know, they take their time about responding. So I allowed them to be who they were. And I think that was the joy in this project. Franco Mondini was very active then. There's several that of the artists that I didn't catch that I wanted to include. Another one is Henry Estrada, who has been, you know, very active in the arts, in public art. I was lucky to get Jesse Amado, you know. Franco, I caught him in Dallas. He was doing a show there, and he was in a flower shop and taking floral arrangement props. So yes, that's where the camera went, and that's where the picture came from. The gentleman in the center, John Hernandez, does not like to have his picture taken. Okay, and he just buffering. And I was staying with him part of the time. He said, no, I don't want my picture taken. And I said, well, what if you're not looking at the camera? What if you're looking into a mirror? you know, and I think those are our best faces, because we can compose ourselves when we look in the mirror, right? So, yes, and you see the frame, you see his frame. Yeah, you see the frame, and he's inside the frame. So that's not a straight shot, that's the mirror image. So, you know, I mean, we do whatever we can to get the project done, to get the message of, yeah, we're standing on our heads if that's required too. But it was lovely meeting a lot of new and artists that I had not known and gotten to see the work, their work. The project is bigger. Patricia's space is lovely and accommodated. What, maybe
13 didn't. We were on 13. We were not able to accommodate 12 or 13.
But she has the photographs.
So we're going to do a rotation.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So you may be able to to see them. She has them. Cesar Martinez, another stubborn. Okay. And Cesar, in his off time, I don't know if he's still doing it. He's like a novillero. He likes bullfight.
Yes.
Okay, and he goes to Laredo, and I wanted some of that in there, and he said, no, I don't want any. I don't want a dress. I don't want any of the paraphernalia. But he had a cape. He had his cape and his sword, you know, not far from the camera. So I took liberty, shot the work, and tucked it in there. Yes. This one I like a lot. This one's my favorite too. They did the chupacabra, and you know the tail of the chupacabra comes from Puerto Rico. I think it originated there, and he's Puerto Rican. So I wanted him to become the chupacabra. And I think the way the camera, the way I moved and the camera captured, I think he's doing that. So thrilled to see work that is important that I knew nothing about. I think the other gentleman that passed away is on the right in the back. Mexican sculptor Jose Guadalupe Guadiana, and he did the carving, masterful carvings in the South Campus, right across from Mi Tierra. The university campus. Okay, you go into their courtyard, and here it is, fabulous, relief carvings. Yeah. So let's go. Let's go there. He agreed. Let's go. And so I'm glad that he was able to. Zamora Casas, we know loves attire and
to perform.
He's a performer, and he did it gorgeously there. Yes.
The one at the center. Black and white.
Anita was just doing what she does, using recycled material. She's done some beautiful public art. The lobby, the hotel next to the convention center. Yeah, well, there's several here in San Antonio, and there she is, she's working. So sometimes I didn't want to interrupt. They just told me, well, shoot, take what you want. And another performer was, of course, Chuck Ramirez. And it was at his house. I took, I think, 2 versions of Chuck. One with products, with a Goya products. He had a lot of Goya. Yes.
He liked how they looked.
Right. But he had done the Piñata series, which is a gorgeous project. Yeah, I think you have it. Yeah. And so he had a piñata there, and yeah, he was, you know, he performed. He was a performer as well. Yes. And the only one that's kind of atypical that you don't probably focus on that artist for that aspect is Alex Rubio, which is the first one, extreme left. And he's a terrific painter, a real original. But the other feather on his cap is that he's been able to mentor to the younger generation, you know, and that appealed to me. I have like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years of teaching experience. So that spoke to me, you know, the mentorship. And so he is with one of his young students.
But he mentored Vincent,
Mentored
who is also included, Vincent Valdez.
Vincent Valdez, and everybody knows about Vincent Valdez. I think that Vincent was like honoring his brothers at that time. He did the Boxer series. Yeah, so anybody?
Ethel?
I love Ethel. I love Ethel's portrait.
Ethel
Because
Shifton.
Ethel is like most of us artists, you know, that are restless, kind of dyslexic too, you know. But I put her in order, you know, with the backdrop and just the 3 portraits of Ethel. She was here for the opening, and she loved hearing that. So yeah. Any questions? Anything else you want? Yes.
Yes.
So as an artist, you have a vision of what you want your work to be. Did this exceed your expectations, or is this what you had envisioned?
That's kind of like asking about your DNA. I think it's, no, I think that for me, I speak for myself, if there's mystery, the better. I like walking into the unknown. Yeah, sometimes there is an idea, but I don't form it too much, you know, and let it, the work gives form to the work. Is that fair? Understood? Yes. Any more?
So you were born in El Paso?
I was born, yes, I was born. My parents were born in El Paso. I'm third generation, yeah, from both. The paternal side, I think it's four generations.
And you still live there today?
No, I'm in Arlington, Texas.
Oh, in Arlington?
Yes, I'm in Arlington, straight shot. Straight shot. So, no, the border was very different, you know, from when I was in my formative years, and left in '69, which was like a big marker too, you know, the world turned over in '68, right? Yeah, and then '69 I moved away, but kept touch. My parents were there. I was very fortunate to have long-lived parents, 92, both of them, you know, when they passed away. So there was the anchor. The anchor was there, and I like to say that I give kind of take a deep breath and feel anchored once I see the mountains. You know, because we've got the end of the Franklin Mountains smack dab in the middle of the city. Yeah, so that, it's not only about the studio, it's very much about what's around you, you know, and what you respond to, or you want to rebel against, or acknowledge. And I think that if you want to learn the history of Texas, you come to San Antonio, you know, and you
industry.